What is going on, everyone? I'm happy to be back here with another installment of Prescription Barbecue. Today it's a cold morning, Kansas City, so we're going to be doing some smoking. Everyone knows the McRib is back, but why would you want a little puny, processed piece of junk from a fast food chain? Today, we're doing my take on the McRib, and let's just say we're going to take it up a notch. All right, you can't spell McRib without ribs, so that's what we're going to be focusing on with our smoker. We're going to get our homemade fire starter lit. You can see it takes off really quickly. Go ahead and put our chimney on top, and as you can see here, got a great fire going. We'll check on these in a minute. Here we're using the snake method. Once again, a little different setup than last time. We're using wood chips today because I got a bunch of them over the holiday for gifts. So shout out to anyone who got me wood over the holiday. You know me so well. Otherwise, setup is staying the same with the Brinkmann smoking grill and temperature probe. Come back to our coals in just a few minutes, and they're looking good, about ready to get on the grill. We're going to go ahead and pour these down in our grill grate at the beginning of our snake. Use your metal tongs to make sure you're putting them in the right place. And now we just wait for the temperature to come up. It's going to take a little bit of time, so we got to be patient. So we're going to give it about 20 or so minutes here. All right, so we're waiting for the smoker to come up to temp now. Again, I have my ribs from last night prepped and ready to go this morning to save me some time. Let's take a look at what I did to get them prepped and ready for the smoker today. Pretty similar process to last time. We're gonna go ahead and pat these down with a paper towel. This is a St. Louis style cut, and they gave me the rib tips, which is great. We're gonna go ahead and remove that membrane. Should come off, just get under it with a knife. Pull it off with a paper towel. Should come off pretty easy. Today we're going to be using Rib Rack's barbecue rub. My first time trying it, again, was a gift over the holidays, so thank you so much. Go ahead and get a nice coating of that on the ribs and the rib tips. We're going to go ahead and throw those on together today. Go ahead and flip them over, and we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Now again, I don't use any sort of binder. I just give it a good coating, and it usually has no issues sticking. And then once everything is rubbed down and sticks nicely, we're going to make sure that we mop up any extra seasoning on those exposed edges so everything is covered up really nicely. Checking back on our temperature, it is still steady rising. We are hitting our goal of between 225 and 275. We got some good fire here, some good clean smoke is going to be produced, so we're going to go ahead and slap these ribs on now. So now that the ribs are on, we're going to kind of follow the same style pattern that we did last time, 3-2-1 method. So they're going to be on here for about 3 hours. We're going to make sure they have great color on them. They're looking good. Then we're going to go ahead and wrap them and get them real tender, just like in our last video. If you haven't seen that one, make sure you check it out. I went into a lot more detail last time, all about my setup and kind of how I would go through the process of making ribs. Today, we're focusing more on the McRib. All right, so we are back. It's been about an hour and a half. We're still rolling a lot of good, clean smoke. It's been pretty hands-off. The snake method using the wood chips has been pretty nice. I haven't really had to check on it a whole lot because we've got, different areas throughout that snake that we're gonna get smoked. So it's been pretty constant, pretty good. This is the first time I'm gonna check. We're gonna see how the colors look and see if they need any spray, and then we're gonna keep on rolling. All right, so taking a look here. Oh, that looks fantastic. We're getting some great color here. Little bit of char, not too much. Love seeing that, but I don't think we need a spray quite yet. We'll let them go for at least another 30 minutes before we think about spraying them. Went back out and spritzed them about a half an hour later. We are now approaching the 3-hour mark. So as you can see, I'm just preparing what I'm gonna wrap in foil. Same procedure, just some brown sugar and butter. All right, so we are right about at the 3-hour mark. I've got all of my stuff ready to go, ready to wrap them inside. So we're gonna take a look, just make sure that I like the color, and if I do, we're gonna take them off, wrap them, and then get them back on for another 2 hours. Oh yeah, those are looking good. You see the color we have here? You're really looking for this nice mahogany red brownish color. That's the kind of color that the smoke gives you, telling me that these are definitely ready to be wrapped, so we can go ahead and take them off, wrap them up, and then it's time to get them tender. All right, so just before we wrap them, we have them here. Here's our brown sugar and butter. We're gonna go ahead and give them one more spritz of our apple cider vinegar apple juice mixture, and make sure we throw in the rib tips too. Don't want to forget about those. So just a little bit more than 2 hours later, this is what we are left with after they are done being wrapped on the smoker. It smells fantastic. They look great with their color and super juicy. Next step is going to be to remove all the bones, which should be pretty easy. As you can see, it is very, very tender. So go ahead and get all those bones removed, and we're going to go ahead and put a little glaze of sauce on. And after this glaze is done, I'm going to throw them back on the smoker for another 30 minutes or so just to kind of set this in. While the ribs are finishing up, let's talk about the rest of this sandwich. So with a McRib, you got to upgrade the bread. So we have a beautiful Italian loaf here from a local bakery. We're going to brush that just with a little bit of olive oil on top, And then of course, you know we gotta season it with just a little bit more of that barbecue rub that we've been using. Next up, you know you can't have a McRib without those famous onions. So I got some onions here. I'm gonna go ahead and give those a peel. Afterwards, we're gonna give them a rough chop, nothing too fine. And you know, chopping onions always somehow gets me on my emotional side. I'm not sure why. But after all that's done, we have these roughly chopped onions here, and we're gonna step this up by putting them on the skillet, give them some nice color, help take out some of the harshness from those onions. And of course, you know, we're seasoning them up a little bit with just some more of that barbecue rub. After just a little bit, after the onions have sweated off, we have this great color going. The smell is amazing, and these are gonna be a great addition to our McRib. And finally, the last component, we have some pickles. Honestly, I wasn't sure how to step these up. I love pickles, so we're just gonna leave those as is. So our ribs just finished up on the smoker for another 20 or 30 minutes to set that glaze in. We got our pickles, we got our sauteed onions, and we have our bread now beautifully toasted with some of that barbecue seasoning. My favorite time is coming. It's time to assemble. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take this little barbecue glaze that we made and just gently glaze a little bit on that bottom bun. We want this to be a saucy McRib. And after we do that, we're gonna go ahead and lay down our little bed of pickles here. We're gonna make this a nice mountainous sandwich here. So we got a nice little layer of pickles. Afterwards, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our onions. And I love me some sauteed onions, so we're gonna be very generous with this. We're gonna give ourselves a nice pile. And as you can see, a beautiful layer on top of the pickles of the onions. And now, my favorite part, the moment I've been waiting for, we're gonna put the rib in the McRib. So we gotta be very careful here. As you can see, super tender, essentially falling apart in my hand. So we're gonna place that there, and it was honestly a perfect fit for the bread. We're gonna add one more glaze of our sauce onto here. Again, we want this to be a saucy McRib. We're gonna add a little bit of extra sauce on top of the meat, as well on the sides, trying to make sure that we get all the good ingredients underneath, saucy as well. And then finally, it is time to crown our masterpiece, and this is what we are left with. All of our hard work is clearly worth it. You can see this is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful monster of a sandwich. And of course, we can't forget about those rib tips. We're gonna have those sit here as a nice little garnish to nibble on as a little appetizer before we get into this monstrosity. And you know as well as I do that every sandwich is only as good as its cross section. So I'm gonna get a piece here off the end. It might be a little bit smaller of a size, but we're gonna take a nice section of this. Look at that. Great layers with the pickles, the onions, and the rib. I gotta get a bite right now. And it is absolutely fantastic. You can see it's just dripping, and I'm in awe of how good this is. And it certainly didn't take long for my roommates to smell what was going on in the kitchen for them to come down and get some for themselves. And I'm happy to say it was roommate approved. I had a ton of fun making this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll have a lot more barbecue videos coming out soon, and I'll see you next time.